A good while back, I made a nice, easy video on, for the newcomers to 40k, where to get started actually reading the Black Library books. A video that does pretty well for my channel, brings in some new people pretty regularly. Hi, by the way, hope you stick around and subscribe. Nowadays, you guys should be lore experts by now. It's been like a year or something, where it's high time for you all to get your lore from the actual place itself. The books, not just me, from the videos and all that. And so, I'm gonna give you all a bunch of recommendations. Recommendations of my personal favorite books that I have read in 40k. Books that you should go out right once this video ends and read immediately, or else. Okay, wait, stepping in here real quick before I get started. Please recommend books if you think I'm missing out, or if there's anything I don't mention that you think everyone should read or else. Please pitch them. Put it in the comments right now. I want to read it. I want to hear about it. I want to hear your favorites. Personally, I really like hearing people's favorite things in the things I enjoy. It's the shit I actually enjoy engaging with. It's fun. Just stick with the theme, you know? Word your pitch like a threat, and I'll engage with it a lot more fairly. So anyways, back to the video. The first book I'm going to threaten you with is a very recent read for me. So recent, I'm actually still working through it. Oh my god, it's such a good book though. The Lion, Son of the Forest by Mike Brooks is, holy shit, this book fucking rules, and I'm only like partway through it. I assume I'm gonna keep this opinion in the future, which might as well. Editing me in the future. Do I still think this way?
Yeah, it's still peak.
Yeah, thought so. Okay, so this book is fantastic. There's so many elements of this that are great. The actual core writing quality is fantastic, which is throwing me for a loop due to the pure whiplash of dealing with the Dark Angels in the Horus Heresy, since I'm not the biggest Lionel Johnson fan, mainly because of said Horus Heresy quality. Mainly, good lord, Descent of Angels is such a rough read. Oh my god, I hate that book so much. It makes me genuinely angry. I hate it. This book, no, it does some things I really enjoy. Playing with the Lion's character, examining his personality, some beautiful examinations of him with a post-heresy like universe. The best elements of post-rival Gilliman's like depression is here in the Lion, but still feeling new, like it's his own character. A thing I personally enjoy is playing around with the tense of which the story is delivered, jumping around in POV, but playing around with present and past tense of how it's being actually told. Oh my god, I love it. Another thing gotta shout out. I guess a confession. When it comes to 40k books, I personally kind of tune out a little bit when it comes to the combat, as there's only so many times I can actually listen to like such and such sergeant whoever charged over the hill, he slashed his chainsword, he shot his bolter pit. It's boring. I'll be honest, it gets repetitive. I gotta say, I was able to track and follow it so well of Lionel Johnson Captain Falconing, flying knee a chaos mutant in the face, or in a millisecond dodge rolling bolter fire. Like, oh my god, it's so sick. I'm a guy that has a hard time actually picturing and imagining things in my head, so when I can really track motion and movement and events like this really clearly in my own head, it's really a key sign to me that the writing quality and the imagery being told to me through like the audiobook that I'm using is quality, in which it is. I would highly recommend it. I would give more detail, but I do not wish to spoil anything for either you at home or for myself. If I make some declaration or point about its themes or, I guess, plot points, I don't want to get it wrong and then get corrected and then get spoiled. So I'm not doing that. All right, if I don't threaten you with this book, the character will. This one is going to be the Conrad Kur's Primarch book by Guy Haley. A book so good, it makes me really annoyed with Guy Haley more than usual due to the sheer whiplash of this man's writing quality. As every once in a while he writes such a banger and then he creates trash, and it hurts, man. This book got me through the description of friend of the channel. Go check him out, Voxcast of Nowhere, as he pitched it to me as a horror story where the monster is Conrad Kur's, which is a great pitch. And for a good chunk of this book, it is very true. There are segments that 100% read like a horror story where Conrad Kur is straight up hunting the POV character, and it is spooky. This man is terrifying. Other than that, it has the elements I adore about Conrad Kur's, and is mainly the fact that it is a deep psychological examination of him and why he's wrong, which is beautiful. Conrad Kur can see the future, and he also believes fate is an immovable thing completely. He is incorrect about this. Fate can be altered, but he cannot admit this because if this were to be true, then his entire worldview is incorrect and he chose to be the horrific psychopath he became, which he cannot accept because it goes against his really staunch view on justice, law, and order. He believes he's the monster because his father made him to be that way and he had no choice. The idea that he just likes being the monster is terrifying to him. He will say as much. He will say that he is not a monster, he is like this because of his dad, as he screams at a flesh sculpture of him. But then, in the book, proceeds to torture a man for fun during a very long void ship travel. He didn't do anything wrong. The guy is outright helping him. He is strictly doing this out of his own enjoyment. Conrad Kur is a hypocrite, and that's what I love about him. You really get every element of Kur's throughout his entire life, and you really get this deep view of himself and get to see all the elements of him and get to pick apart for yourself what parts are truths, what parts are lies. And oh my God, it's so fun. It is so fun to see the monster that he is. The next two recommendations aren't even technically books, but who are you to come in here and tell me what I can and can't recommend? How dare you? But these are audio dramas that you can get on Audible, which Black Library and audiobooks, kinda, ooh. So I'm gonna recommend them anyways. So first, I will recommend The Watcher in the Rain. The Watcher in the Rain is really, really good. It is a Warhammer horror story. This one is a really nice, tight, hour-long, like, horror experience. It's super well produced. It's got a lot of atmosphere that's great, and the actual, like, character monster that is the Watcher in the Rain, I gotta say, for a Games Workshop produced thing, a thing made for Warhammer 40k, I am astounded at the sheer amount of subtlety that is used in this story. Oh my God, I was expecting a lot more overt, like, I don't know, overt monstery stuff or some end thing to kind of pull the punch in some way. No, I would honestly recommend, if you are able to get the time, just set aside an hour for a once through listen. Don't break this apart, just try to get it all in one. The next one is Our Marted Lady, which is another audio drama. This one's a bit longer, so understandable to break it up. I could also call this more of a much higher produced, like, audiobook. This one is following Saint Celestine and Inquisitor Greyfax loosely working together on Terra to deal with the Ecclesiarchy in shambles after the return of Gilliman, because that threw a lot of things in disarray. Those two characters, their chemistry is really fun. The other reason I highly recommend it is Inquisitor Greyfax is played by Catherine Tate, and she is fantastic. I really like Catherine Tate, and she did a great job actually playing this character, and oh my God, it's a great listen. You should also go check this one out. I swear to the throne, if you don't read this next series, by the time I'm done with you, you're gonna want to charge into the Eye of Terror with nothing but a rusty spoon. Now, I'm gonna be talking about the Caiaphas Cain series. Oh my God, the greatest series, my opinion at least. So this is my first jump into 40k when I was first getting into it. Probably not the greatest, entry point, all honesty. I think you make a case that, like, it's a solid first read, but I don't know, it worked out fine. Other than that, it's just, there's a lot going for the Caiaphas Cain series. It's such a fun concept of a series to have just a comedy set in 40k, but still keep the general 40k tone and still feel like it fits in the world. It's great. So I will also mention the Caiaphas Cain series is like a little lengthy, it's a little long, so you don't have like all the time in the world, which I know you're a 40k fan, you probably have indisposable time. You can book hop just a little bit. I would say reading the entire series is worth it, but you don't have to. In all honesty, the only ones I'd really recommend are like the short stories that started the Caiaphas Cain character, and then like the first story, Hero of the Imperium, and then go on from there, just whichever one books look interesting. If I had to make some recommendations, personally, because those first stories are really important, especially here at the Imperium, as they set up the reoccurring characters that'll really come up later, mainly Inquisitor Amberly Vale and the Valhallan 597. And personally, if you want some just quick recommendations, my two favorite of the Caiaphas Cain series is The Traitor's Hand, which is great. I love the core plot of it. Also, because this one has Caiaphas Cain also dealing with what I can only describe as the most stuck-up antithesis of Cain as a commissar attached to the Talon Desert Raiders. Just picture in your mind Caiaphas Cain, just inverted. And now that's just another antagonist in the book, and it's great. And then the other one is Cain's Last Stand, which is Cain as a much older man teaching a bunch of other commissars in Escola, dealing with Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade right at the beginning of it, and it's a great read. But I'm going to save you the general plot synopsis of the Caiaphas Cain series. I'm certain you've heard it thousands of times. I will at least tell you the reasons why I love it so much. It is like my favorite series in this universe. It's a beautiful, beautiful character. It's such a fun examination for a good few reasons. I think mainly it's just Caiaphas is fascinating. The idea that Cain is an unreliable narrator, as Cain is going back into his career and examining himself through an extra lens, Cain is a liar. He's a liar in so many layers. He's a liar in the fact that he just likes to make things up for fun. He boasts his accomplishments. And also, he is so hard on himself. He will lie about his own accomplishments, his own motives for doing things, his own morality, like his own heroics. He does not believe he deserves any of the accolades that he has. When very clearly, when you're reading it, he does. He's a good person. He just cannot see it himself. He is more harsh on himself than he needs to be, which makes the actual reading of it really interesting because you have to view it through the lens of an outside observer parsing through what Cain is really saying, which is fascinating. It's really fun. You know what? I think the greatest threat I can give any of you here isn't like some threat to, I guess, bodily harm or whatever TOS doesn't allow me to say. It's, I hope if you ignore all of my recommendations, I hope to condemn all of you to a fate to read the entirety of the Horus Heresy in release order, back to back to back, which is something I tried to do, and I'm still kind of working on. It's ass, I'll be honest. I've hit a bit of a roadblock, to be honest. I'm on book 11. It's rough because I listen on Audible, since the best way I can actually progress through this series is at work. I use headphones at work, so I use Audible. And my main issue is Gareth Armstrong narrates most of the Horus Heresy, and I'm not a fan of that man's narration. And I swear to God, if I have to listen to the first heretic and listen to his one of two voices of actual child or aggressively rolling every R possible, I'm gonna find the nearest warp portal and jump straight into it. I swear to God. Of the Horus Heresy, of the books I've read, there are some really, really good bits in there. You have to look. I will say the first 3 books are phenomenal. 4th book, I'm less into it than other people, but yeah, you do you. Though I will give a very hefty shout out to these 2. The first one I will say is book 5, Fulgrim, by Graham McNeill. This book did the absolutely unthinkable thing of making me give a shit about the Emperor's Children in Fulgrim, a faction I thought I would not like. But it turns out they're really compelling. Mainly, the story of their fall is so interesting. Every part building up their notoriety, how noble and dope they are, and watching them fall is so cool. Watching the Slaanesh corruption play out is masterfully done. It is absolutely fantastic. The only critiques I have of this book are purely once the Slaanesh corruption fully takes hold, I lose a bit of interest, and later down the line, the whole Lier Blade plotline gets kind of sidestepped and solved off screen, but both of those are strictly not Graham McNeill's faults and are kind of my problems, not his, so I can't judge. I gotta say it's pretty solid when my biggest critiques are me problems. I can't even point at the text and like indicate flaws. I love it. There's so much going for it. Fulgrim's a fascinating character. He's written phenomenally. I love how petty he is. I love how annoying he is in the most best way possible. The other one I'll recommend is another Graham McNeill book, Book 9, Mechanicum, which is also great. Mechanicum has such a lot going for it, and I also think is an excellent entry point if you ever want to learn about how the Mechanicus kind of operates. Mechanicum does a lot of really cool setup, as the Mechanicum sets up the Dark Mechanicus really well, Chaos Mechanicus in a really cool way that makes me really sad that they have almost zero presence in like any tabletop for 40k. I understand the issues now. It's also just like a bunch of cool little plots going on. The characters it actually explores are fantastic. I like the philosophical debates that are going on and how each member engages with the actual like cult mechanicum and the religion of Mars. And if you ever wanted to look into what the whole deal with the Dragon of Mars was, this is the entry point. It directly is talking about it. It's fucking awesome. And yeah, that's kind of it. There's not much else I can really say here. Read these books or else. But anyways, yeah, if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff, join my membership, and see ya.